Hello and welcome to the last presentation on Microsoft Word. Believe it or not, it's over. And we also go now through something which is introducing features that usually go beyond the need of the typical student and extend the capabilities that you will appreciate in the workplace mostly. We are talking about track changes. Documents are written not to be enjoyed by the writer, but to be sent to someone else to read. Sometimes those documents in Word are sent to somebody else to review, to correct, to assess, to make amendments, delete, addition, and comments. And this is what track changes is all about. The capacity to keep track on the same document of possible corrections, reviews, comments, additions, or deletions. This is called tracking changes, and we are now going into it in the next 20 minutes or so. After that, you will do some test on everything we have done so far on Word. And then we go into mixing Excel with Word, and then we go close to the final. And I hope everything is well for you. This is sunset now in Tuscany, and everything is well at the moment here. I think we are in for months rather than weeks, alas. And I hope you enjoy this teaching. Please send me any comments by email, by WhatsApp, by Skype, by forum, by whatever you want. Okay, I want to try to make this enjoyable and as profitable as possible for all of you. Now let's go on with the teaching. So how do I activate track changes? Track changes is in the Review tab of your Microsoft Word. It's also in the Review tab of PowerPoint, and I believe it's also in Excel. I mean, it's in many Office applications. Once you open Word and you go to the Review tab, you can click on Track Changes. There's a button, Track Changes, on the PC, or there's a Track Changes switch on Mac somewhere. You will see in these short pictures above the text the different options in the different environments. In the next slides, I will explain you how to use track changes, and I will also send you to some external material, because track changes has been dealt with by many people, sometimes even better than me. Surprisingly, it could be. And I will include my usual screen recording, but also some external videos, literary stuff that might be enjoyable. Anyway, track changes is a button in the Review tab of the ribbon. I may have mentioned already these, the features that go beyond the need of typical student and extend the capabilities that you will appreciate mostly in the workplace. This is what track changes is all about. Workgroup editing, when you have a document to be, reviewed and amended by more individuals, and so everything is stored on the same document. You will not have different pieces of paper or versions, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, revision gas, paper 4, revision B. You will have to work always on the same file. One of the most dangerous things when you do workgroup is you send in files all around, sending your Word paper around, and people send in back another file with his revision on. And if this happened between two people, it's nasty enough. But if you have to send the same document to 5 or 6 different persons, and each one of them send you back their own file, then you are going to have a long time and many possible mistakes in merging all these files together. That's the reason why track changes is rather important. In track changes, there is an original author, he or she who first writes the document. And then you have reviewers, other people that are allowed to make modifications to that document. Each modification is automatically signed and defined by that he who or she who made it, and the author retains the ability to accept or reject each reviews. We will see how in the next few slides. So the first operation in track changes is a neutral operation, just a comment. A small comic book cloud aside the document that says someone has made this comment about this part of the paper. Insert in a comment. A balloon is called a colored circle that contains comments at the margin of the document. The comment can be always on or can be toggled on and off by he who is working on the document at the moment, so that you don't see it so messy all the time, because comments can distract you. Next slide next couple of slides will be a screen recording with me trying to show you how it happens, because it's it's really sometimes easier done than said. So it's a lot easier done than said. Before this data word here, you want to insert a comment that says, look, my dear fellow colleague or student, this picture is rather messy. I don't understand what this big blue arrow is all about. So you position yourself here, you right click and a new comment. New comment appears on the right or on the left, but usually on the right. And new comment has the indication of the author of the comment, he who is now using the word installation, and you say, I do not think this blue arrow fits in the pic. Why is it there? That's a comment. How do I see or unsee the comments? Well, it all is here in this tracking group of the review under the tracking group in the review tab of the ribbon. Comments are markups, like all revisions, all review, all track changes stuff. We'll see the track changes later. So show markup, comments, no comments. Show markup, comments. Show markup as balloons, show all revisions in balloons, no revisions for the moment. All markup, simple markup, it says, look, here there is a markup, there is a comment. You want to see the comment or not? Sort of a comic box icon here, or all markup, and you will see everything on the right. All, no markup at all, or the original, in case we have changed thing in the document. Now for the changes. The track changes is a very useful feature of Word because it allows people to collaborate on the same document, and it shows who has modified what. And with a comment, it can also tell you why he did that. This is very useful in the case you are negotiating an agreement, let's say, or you're working on a contract, or you are working on a paper that is under a review, or you are anyway working on the same document with somebody else in an asynchronous way. So once the track changes is on, track changes, at this point you see my comment before, and let's say I now make a modification here. I change the document in ways to collect and analyze. I insert here collect and analyze. It shows here. If you don't want to see the markups, no markup, and you see my modifications here, my addition to the document. Without tracking changes, you would not probably see it at first sight. No, with track changes, you show all markups. You notice that here there was collect and analyze, shows in red. Something like, I don't like this therefore, I want to cut it out and just change it with B. Big data often includes why be right therefore. So here is what I deleted, here is what I added, and at some point in the changes group, you or somebody else who received this document is able to one by one look at this thing and say reject. So my modification has been canceled from the document. While, you know, for instance, this one is okay, I would say, and then I accept it. Accept. This becomes an insertion in the document. You can obviously accept all changes, accept and move to the next, reject and move to the next, and reject all changes. This operation is usually done by somebody else, not the one who makes the changes. It is nevertheless shown here with me doing both sides. Track changes, again, it's something which is absolutely very, very useful in business. In my agency, we basically resend back all Word documents that do not have the track changes on, because we want them to send us something over which we can make modifications. I'm talking about contracts and agreements, memorandum of understanding, whatever is to be negotiated. And then with track changes, you see exactly who added, who deleted, and who changed what, and also possibly when. So a very useful thing to use, which is highly recommended that you know and that you try to practice. It's going to be part of this test this week. In this slide, you see an older version of Word, but shows the many ways you can have track changes shown. As red underlined, as balloons on the right of the document, and as underline. I'll leave it to you to explore the many ways you can show or hide the track changes. It's an interesting field to explore. Oh, really interesting. One more option, admittedly, well, rather rarely used, is the compare feature. When you have two different versions of a file, which it happens when you do not use track changes, actually. Track changes is there exactly to avoid that you have to compare two different files. But nevertheless, it will happen. You will send your paper to somebody and he will resend it back without track changes, but with some modifications on. And you will have a hard time in finding out the modifications and decide whether you want to integrate them, accept or reject. This is done by view side by side. Next slide, please. It's in the View tab of the ribbon, and there's a group of commands, view side by side. You can view side by side, you can view one above and one below. We can have different windows on, but let's not complicate the things. You must have two similar documents to view side by side. They must be the same document with some modifications. You cannot view side by side two different documents. There will be no use of that. There will be just two windows. And the window is split to display two documents, one on the left and one on the right. And you will be able to find out the differences. It will be highlighted by Word itself. Again, this is uncommon. This is not very common, very well used. So it's just here so that you know that it exists. A set of general rules for a good document. This is the end of the slides about Word. You should now be able to produce a very good Word document. The technique is in your hands. The style, the beauty, and the charm is in your minds. And coming from this Renaissance country, some, I think, harmony would be recommended, because I know you will be able to make very beautiful stuff. A few links to other pages on the web, I hope they're all still on, that can teach you something more, argue about more on the style, meaning not the word style, meaning the elegance of the document. More guidelines